Hello and welcome to another video from the tryhackme Advent of Cyber 2022 series. Today we're looking at day 9 of pivoting. Thanks for checking out the video, really appreciated. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, help it push it through the YouTube algorithm. Your support really is appreciated, and it does go a long way to helping continue with the content that we're bringing to you on the channel. As you see, we've covered the previous 8 days before, so make sure you go back, have a look through those videos. We'll be continuing to show the rest of them, so again, please do make sure you hit that like and subscribe, hit the notification button to be alerted when we drop the videos of all the further tasks that are coming up. So day 9, pivoting. A little introduction into pivoting. And what we're going to get in this particular one. Obviously they've notified it's going to be a little bit more complex than what we've seen so far. We've found each day it's got a little bit harder and harder, but nothing that we haven't been able to achieve and complete. If you need more, you can obviously visit the tryhackme Discord. In the link below you can also join my own Discord, and we can discuss and chat about all the different rooms and all things hacking related. So what can we expect from this one? Using metasploit modules and meterpreter to compromise systems. So we're going to get introduced into a couple of new systems. We're going to cover network pivoting, and we're going to cover post-exploitation. We're also going to see the introduction of Docker. So for those of you that don't know, Docker is a piece of software that allows us, that are often referred to as containers, and each container can run a different system, different bit of software that can be housed basically within that one container, and then accessed as and when we require. Metasploit, powerful penetration tool. If you don't know what Metasploit is, don't worry, we're going to introduce it here, but it is a piece of software for pen testing that you are going to need to learn and know all about. Fantastic bit of kit. Very powerful in the resources it's got, and the jobs and tasks it can perform. So Metasploit, again, just to recap in their own sense, Metasploit is a powerful pen testing tool for gaining initial access to systems, performing post-exploitation and pivoting to other applications and systems. Metasploit is free, open source software owned by the US-based cybersecurity firm Rapid7. Okay, so it is open source, it is free, must have, go and download it now. So that's what we're going to do. Meterpreter is an advanced payload that provides interactive access to a compromised system. It supports the running commands on a remote target, including uploading, downloading files and pivoting. I really struggle saying meterpreter, but it has multiple useful commands, as we can see here. Alright, so we're going to get a basic understanding and grips to it. Now, one of the key features of this particular task is pivoting. So what is it? Again, pivoting is once an attacker gains initial entry into a system, the compromised machines, you can see where my mouse is here, then basically becomes your vehicle to send additional web traffic, allowing us to gain access to inaccessible machines beforehand. So as we can see here, pen testers in, compromised it, that then allows us access to further information and further machines. So for this one, for the first time, we're going to be using the Kali Linux. Now you can either use their tryhackme Kali Linux machine, or you can use OpenVPN to connect straight into your own Kali Linux machine. Using the OpenVPN, you can then get in there, and away you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the tryhackme one, just again because it's free, it's nice and easy to use, and we can log straight in there. So again, there's a little guide here on how to get into it. I've already done it, but again, it's very simple. Start your machine as we've done previously, and then up here in the top right, in between there will be start attack box with a little arrow next to it. Hit that arrow, alright, and then select Kali Linux box as shown. There's your arrow, select use Kali Linux, hit start Kali Linux, it will open up, and then you will see here. Alright, so if you're using the web-based Kali machine, which we are, you can open metasploit following using that command, so we'll get through to that later on. Alright, what else has it got as we go through here? It's going to show us how we're going to use that to pivot to meterpreter to pivot amongst the other machines. A SOX proxy is an intermediate server that supports relaying network traffic between two machines. So this tool allows you to implement the technique of pivoting. You can run a SOX proxy either locally on a pen tester machine via metasploit or directly with the compromised server. Okay, and again, we'll come back and we'll touch on all of this. So as always, there is a nice little challenge walkthrough to introduce us to what's happening. Alright, so we'll glance back up to that in a minute, but we're just going to scroll all the way to the bottom, have a look at the questions, okay, and see then what we're going to be up against and what we're going to be looking to do. So we're going to deploy the VM, wait a few minutes, what ports are open. So in order to do that, we're going to need to run an nmap scan. What framework is the web application developed with? Hopefully we'll find that out from the again, should be fairly easy to do, because what we do is we'll take the IP address, see if that works. If not, we'll have if that brings the site up, that will hopefully allow us to show the application. If not, a little bit further digging. What CVE is the application vulnerable to? So again, for those of you that don't know, CVE, as I've shown there, if you click on it with the dots, you can open it up. There's a common vulnerabilities and exposures. This term is given to a publicly disclosed vulnerability. So what we will need to do is we will need to research what CVE is the application vulnerable to. So we'll need to find out. The information we find here is going to help us to answer this question here. Okay, so use the info command of the chosen metasploit module. Alright, so again we're going to use metasploit there to find out more about this information. What command can be used to upgrade the last open session of a meterpreter session? So I think what we'll do is we'll crack on with these first few and see how we get on. So first things first, open your terminal up, and then we're going to run an nmap scan. Okay, so again, as it says in the challenge walkthrough, we're going to run an nmap scan. Okay, but it's asking us to put a few key things into what we're scanning for. So T4A and man. So what we're going to do is we're going to go there, bring up the manual. Oops, done that the wrong way around. Alright, so this is now going to bring up the manual so we can have a look through and see what we can expect to find. Okay, so we're looking for, here we go, straight away. A typical nmap scan is shown in example 1. The only nmap I used in this are example tryhackme to enable OS and version detection. Okay, script scanning and trace route. So that's going to tell us what we're going to find. Alright, T4 for faster execution and the host name. So that's what the T4 is for. And again, as you continue to go further down the page, again we will start to see all the other little tags that are there. So what is the P and the N? And again, over time you'll start to learn what all these various different extras are. Capital P N. There, treat all hosts as online. Skip host discovery. Okay, so that's what we're going to be looking for. So let's put the scan in. You'll see there that it's that IP address is going to be the one of your machine. So very simply, hyphen that T4 J, P, 10, 10, 15, 181. So starting the Nmap, let's see what we come back with. It may take a little while. While it's doing that, let's just go have a quick back down to the question, see what. So deploy the VM and wait for unit, what ports are open. Okay, not how many, but which ports are open. So our scan has returned. So we can see here, host is up, it's good, not shown. 999 closed ports. Port 80 is open, running Apache. That looks as though it's the only port. So there we've got our MAC address. Here we've got some fingerprint scans. Network distance is 1 hop. Trace route, that's the route we've taken. So they're using EU West, so it looks like it's AWS. And that done of 1 address scanned in 20 seconds. So, what ports are open? So we can see that the first port open is 80. So let's pop that one in there. What framework is the web application developed with? Okay, so that doesn't show. So what we try on this one is we will open this up. Here we're going to add the IP address that we are currently using. So again, you scroll up to the very, very top of your page. There, tells you the IP address. So you can hit that, hit copy, or whatever system it is, or even just type it in. 10.10.15.181. Okay, so what we are looking for, we've got something here. So what did it just say we were looking for? What framework is a web application developed with? So let's see if there's any obvious things on the page. Looks like that. Down in the bottom right. So what framework is the web application developed with? So Laravel. That is Laravel using version 8.26.1. And Laravel is just a framework. Laravel framework. Alright, so as you can see here, free and open source PHP web framework. That's all Laravel is, and hence the reason why it's using PHP version 7.4.30. So now we're going to, where do we go to try and find out about the CVE? Again, going through the walkthrough. Alright, we are after something just helps you go through. So here, web application may be run to remote code execution exploit which impacts Laravel applications. We can see that the server responds to after loading the application in our browser and inspecting the network tab. So if you right click, okay, hit inspect. Again, we'll work through the walkthrough because everything's got a purpose and what they're showing. You can see the response with HTTP. After inspecting the network tab in there. Perform request. So let's just refresh the page with that network one open. There. And there you go. So when you open it up, just refresh your page. So as you can see there, it's opened up. Under network. Let's have the top one. That's waiting in there. Headers 200 OK. See if we can. There, set cookie. Let's just extend that a little bit. Oops. And again, that just tells us that it's running the Laravel. So that's all that's doing. That's just showing you another way, if we hadn't seen it, how we could find the Laravel. So let's go CV Laravel. Again, Google. And here we can find CVE details. Okay, another one there is what we're going to find. Code execution 2018. SQL injection found in 21, 22. Let's have a look at the code execution. CVE 208. Laravel framework through 5.5.4. And there. Okay, so there's loads of things that are being sprung up here using versions before 8.42. So what's the actual question it's asking us? What CV is the application vulnerable to? Code execution. Okay, so it's not. It wants the number, CVE. That's what we're after. So I think it's. No, it's not that one because it's 4 and 4 it's after, isn't it? 4 and 4. Right, so let's. Aha! Right, so again, we've not found anything in particular that we're looking for there. But now this is where we're going to now use the tools that it's teaching us to use rather than trying to find it our own way. So we're going to open that up. We're going to run msfconsole. In Kali. Starting the framework. Here we go. So all we're simply going to do, we are going to put in use. Again guys, this is my first time, so we're doing this together. PHP ignition Laravel debug. Using configure payload exploit, which is that one there. So we're simply just going to use the word check. Follow-ups have failed to validate. So let's go check our host equals 10, 10, 15, 1.1 there. HTTP client equals 20. So you can see up here what we didn't do is we put check, but we didn't say what we were checking. The target appears to be vulnerable. Yep, we know that. So when using Kali machines, use SO host. So be sure, so we've set that, or it may fail. We've done that extreme conditions. Note, when using tryhackme's Kali web machine, you should use the FO as the local host value, attacker IP, and not the VPN shown in the Kali machine. Right, sorry about that. We had lost connection to our box and to tryhackme. So I just had cut the recording off and we're now back in. So we're now back in the, I think, onto the next step where we've opened up metasploit. So very simply, in your terminal, type in msfconsole here, and you'll see this now opens up msfconsole, which is your metasploit network, and allows us to crack on. So we know that we've got an issue here with, we've got a vulnerability with Laravel, and it's the remote code execution, the RCE. So there we're going to use that exploit to be able to get in and just begin our hack and get going. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is, we know our remote host because it's the remote host of our box. Now we're going to try and find the local host on what's been set up. So again, as you'll see here, because we're already into MSF, into the Metasploit console, we're just going to put IP add. So if you haven't opened up Metasploit, you can put IP address or ADDR, and that will bring up here. If you're already in, then very simply you're just going to be looking for that little bit of text there on your F0, providing you use the Kali box, which we are. Alright, so now we're going to open up a session on this box. So very simply, we're going to we're going to set our remote host, which is the one for our box, 141.78. We're going to set up our local host, which equals the one we've just copied, which is 10.10.252.83, and then we're going to set our timeout to 20. Okay, so that's now starting the remote code execution, and we're not starting that, but it's allowing us to open the shell up to see what sessions are running and to begin the hacking and get us into it. So we can now see that's opened. So if we go to who am I, we'll find out, there we are, the www data. Again, if we hit background, that will allow us yes here, and go with sessions. We will now be able to see what sessions we've got up and running. Alright, so we've got one session up and running, okay, which shows us that we've got connection from our remote host to the local host. Alright, so now what we're going to look to do is we're now going to look to take this on to the next step, and upgrade this into a meterpreter session. So again, there, sessions, tac U, and then we are going to select the ID. So we select U for upgrade, and then the 1 is for the ID of our active session. So now you can see it's now executing and we're upgrading that session, and now we should see in a minute that's up and running. So now if we go to sessions, we will now see that we've now got our second session up and running. Alright, so that's what that is. So now if we wanted to, as we see in the instruction on the side, if we go tac I for info and then the ID we want, that is now going to bring us up that little bit of information here that we're after. Okay, it's just to repeat. Push the 1 to quick link sessions. So there we go, we're now interacting with our session 1. So now what can we find? So again, this will be simple terminology. We can see here that's what we've got. So we are listing everything that is in the var www folder HTML. Alright, so again, now we're going to start to use our Linux command skills. So again, if we go cd var there, we list everything that's in there, it's going to show us everything that's available in that file. So again, we can now go cd www Alright, that brings us through, and again we're just replicating everything we've got here. So now we're going to try and open that file there, .env, and here we can see we've got all of this database information. Alright, so our .environment. So now we're starting to get there. Password null, we know it's a Postgres, so the database host is a web service database using that port. There's our Postgres. Have we got any username, passwords in there? So we know where it, no password. Alright, so we're now starting to accrue a little bit more information as we go through it, everything. So now what we want to do is we now want to try and find the IP address for this database. So as we can see, it's not here. And again, very simply, we can use, and this is where the power of meterpreter sets itself apart from everything else. Because again, we know what the database host is there. So again, as you start doing all these things, it's important that you take notes. Alright, so again, very simply copy the information, put it into a separate file, whether you want all of it, some of it. Okay, that solely becomes on how much information you want to collate and you need. But as you start doing this for real, you don't want to keep going back thinking, oh, where have I seen that, and trying to find the information. Find the information, keep hold of it. So like now, there we go, IP address of the web service database. So again, make sure that you're copying that IP address, because we know that we're going to need to come back to that and keep hold of it. Alright, and again, I use something simple, just like I like to use Sublime Text. I find it's a great little tool that allows me to keep all of my notes in one place, so I can code them correctly, and it's something I've become familiar with, and I find it easy to use. So we'll also know that this is an internal IP address, so we can't send traffic directly to it. So what we will need to do is, this is where we're now going to start to pivot and start using some of the network pivoting support within the metasploit console. So the next stage we're going to look to is configure the routing tables. So ensure you have the background command from within the session. So again, let's go background, see what we come up with. Background in session 2. Alright, so now we're going to go into root add. Now we're going to put in our IP address that we just found for the database, so 172.28.101.51 tack, and then the session. So again, everything gets tacked on with the session ID. So now we'll see that the root is added. So we can also see, due to the presence of the Docker environment file, that we're in a Docker container. Is that in this section? No, it's on scrolling back up. Alright, so what we also need to do is we're also going to add the Docker root as well. So root add 172.17.0.1/42. Now if we print the root, we should see something like below. So we've got our net mask, we've got our active root. Alright, so now we've set our routing table up, ready to go, and we can now then start to look at the schema that's available to us. So with the previously discovered database credentials and the routing table configured, we can start to run metasploit modules that target Postgres, starting with a schema dump followed by running queries to select information out of the database. Alright. So what we might use here, again, these are the metasploit commands, okay, to dump them. So let's see, does that work from in here? Scanner, Postgres, so now we're running that one there. So now we're using that, we can run Postgres. Postgres at 172.28.101.51 Postgres. So now we can run Postgres, and this now gives us a bit more information to what we're looking for. So it gives us our port, columns, table name, users, okay, how it's ID'd. So now we're starting to break through into that further information. Alright, again, we can also use admin, and you see how the language is simple in the fact that we're telling it what we're going to use, and then once we're ready to do it, we're then telling it to run it. .101.51 Postgres SQL equals and there we go. So now from the users, by running that Postgres on the database, we've now found a username and a password, which is now what we want to try and use. So again, now we're starting to use these capabilities. We found the database, we found the IP address of the database, how it runs, and we've now managed to find our way to get in to start getting some credentials. Okay, so again, now we're going to use what's called the proxy server. So to further pivot through the private network, we can create a SOX proxy within metasploit. Server. SOX proxy. So now we've told it that's what we're going to use. You can see that we're in it. So we're now going to run a service host equals 127. Again, private one. The port which we found earlier, 9050. Version equals 4A. And now we can see that we're now starting to run that. So this will expose a port on the attacker machine that can be used to run other network tools through, such as curl or proxy chains. Okay, so basically all we've done, we've selected the port, the version with 4A. So we're now just letting that set up and run, starting the proxy server. So now from the attacker's host machine, we can use curl the internal Docker IP to show that the web application is running and the SOCKS proxy works. Let's just catch up on any questions that were on. So yes, we are Docker there, because that's the one we found our database details in. What database table find contains useful credentials? So as we come through it there. So now out of these tables, which one do you think we're looking for? Alright, so up here the table name is the users, and ultimately that's what we're looking for. We're trying to find a username to be able to get in to get there. Alright, username there, Santa. What is Santa's password? P4 $. Nice and secure. What ports are open on the host machine? Alright, so we haven't quite got that far yet, but I would say that 80 is one of them, but again we are just guessing. So at the minute we will need to go back through. We will run an nmap scan once we are up and running. So curl proxy SOCKS 4A local host 9050, because that's the one we set. HTTP there 17.0.1 what's going on? So now you can see now we've got access to it. We are now in. Okay, we've now started to access the web server with all this information in here, which we can now start to go through and find information. Alright, so for the first time now we're starting to get into the crux of it. Laravel 8.2.6. So from the attacker's host machine we can use proxy chains to scan the compromised host machine for common ports. So if we go proxy chains to run the nmap scan as we've done before, and we're now going to select some 172.17.1. That should just scan port specification. So on this one we need to specify certain ports. So we go for our usual SSH server 443. Search. So there you can go. You can now see that 22 and 80 are open, which if we remember correctly is those two down there. Okay, so the last thing we need to do is find the root flag. Alright, so now what we're going to do as we do there, we're going to try and see if now we can find these SSH details, which we probably can. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell it that we're now going to use SSH, because the first thing to do would be to try the username and password we found earlier. So scanner SSH login. Now we're going to run that SSH there. Santa's the username there. 172.17.0.1. Now we're starting that brute force because that's what we're doing. Completed the drawers, so there we go. So that was the right username and password to get us in. So we have now successfully logged in. If we hit sessions, should see a third session. We should have done, but we haven't. So we have run that. We've broken in. We have run SSH. Yeah, we've run Santar 172.17.01. So why have we not started the session? So if we click on it there, so let's upgrade it. Return to there. See what we find. So there's nothing there that is showing us what we've done. So where have we? Oops. So we've used the sort of proxy, use auxiliary scanner. Yeah, so we've logged in, we've run the login. Dun, 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 dun. So we found the port, so let's make sure we put the password in correctly. We'll copy that, copy selection. Right, so let's whiz back down to our SOC proxy. So let's use right, so let's go back up. Let's reset up our SOC proxy. Right, so we're now sessions. Right, so we've still got the 2 sessions in there again. So now let's try our login again. Because that is ultimately what we're trying to make sure we put the password in. SSH Santa. Paste from the clipboard. 172.17.0.1. So we're now starting the brute force and success. Here we go. So yeah, I think I just had it the password typed in incorrectly. So that's why it's important that we make our notes, we get everything in there. So now if we go sessions, there we go, we've now got our third route in there. Alright, sessions, find out info, there, message to inappropriate for device. Now we've got our root text, cat. And there we have our flag. So again, now they're really starting to get tricky. As I've said before, I am new to cybersecurity, something that I'm looking to learn, develop my own knowledge on. I need to use their fancy clipboard. And one thing I've always found is, yes, they put these great little things together, but it's nice to work through them together, make sure we come across these problems, solve them. If you've got any shortcuts or better ways of doing it, please do leave a comment in the comment sections below. If you've got links to any other videos that you think might be worthwhile for developing, put them in the bottom. Let other people that have seen this video that are new to it to find them as well. Please like, subscribe and share. Again, I know this is a very beginner entry level for it, and we're just working through the task together. But again, it's an entry point for myself and for other people as well of that same sort of level that are doing this for the first time and trying to get into it. One thing is safe to say is, after doing all of that, is make sure that you keep practicing. Go and try out all their other rooms. So again, you might want to go and try the Active Directory room. Again, you've got different rooms that are free, VIP rooms, you know, so make sure you do give it a go. You continue learning, even if you can just do one room a day, one task a day, all of it's going to help you and benefit you moving forwards. But please like and share, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video.